There is no doubt that we are living in uncertain times. Some of us might even be feeling that we are trapped in a science fiction movie, thinking, how could a virus bring the whole world to a standstill? Whatever you may be thinking, this is our reality. But how does the corona economy affect you and your financial life? Let's look at 5 factors that have impacted the world economy and financial markets. Firstly, the supply shock, with China being considered the factory of the world shutting down. Demand shock, consumers having to stay at home and only spend money on essential services. Think of what this has done to tourism, travel, entertainment. If that wasn't enough, Saudi declares a price war on the oil, creating a huge oil shock. All of the above have led to very low confidence in economies and markets. And then, of course, the financial shock. What do investors do when they are scared? They run. They take their investments and they put it in cash. Therefore, a huge scramble to cash investments. So how has South Africa responded? Firstly, the Reserve Bank has implemented monetary policy to cut interest rates. We expect more interest rate cuts in the upcoming weeks. Government has decided that the UIF surplus will be used to lessen the burden for employers and employees that are affected by the shutdown and lockdown. SARS has come to the party and offered tax relief for small compliant businesses, particularly in the area of pay-as-you-earn. Private investors and private business have put more than 3 billion rand towards a foundation to support small businesses. Income into a solidarity fund has also made it possible to detect this virus, to manage the virus, and to actually provide aid to those worst affected. Let us put a few things into perspective and look at other events that have impacted on global economies before. The graph below goes back to 1975, and if we look at the Soweto riots in 1976, you'll see that we had a negative 47%. But look at what happened after that. Look at how markets went up. In 2008, 2009, we had the subprime crisis. It lasted about 30 months, which had a negative impact of 42%. But again, look what happened after that. Look how quickly markets recovered. In March 2020, here we can see the effect of the COVID-19. I think what I want to show you from this graph is to take some solace to say that we have been here before and we have recovered every time. Another thing to consider is when markets correct, they do so quickly. So if you had to take your money out or disinvest your money now and put it in cash, you're actually locking in those losses that we have experienced year to date. Also, if you had to try and time the market and you lost out on the 5 best days when markets are recovering, you will never get the kind of return that you would have got had you remained invested. We've heard so many times before that when you invest in markets, you do it so for the long term, and it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. And we all know these things, and we know that you shouldn't just chop and change strategies. But why is it then that investors make emotional decisions? So if we understand how we react and we look at the curve, the emotional curve, the things that we go through every time something happens is firstly there's shock. Shock that this has actually happened. Shock that the world has come to a standstill. Then we go into a period of denial and disbelief, and we start looking for evidence to contradict what is actually happening. Like, oh, this is not so bad, it's just the flu. It cannot be as bad as everybody is saying. We don't have to stay home. We don't have to social distance. Then the realization comes in that this is reality, and you start getting angry and frustrated. And then when you realize you can't do anything about it, you fall into a depression. After a while, you go through a stage to say, okay, well, how can we do things differently? How can we be innovative? How can we be creative? How can we change the way we live or the way we view things? You then go into a process where you make decisions and you act on this, and then finally you reintegrate. But the problem is that when you make decisions, when you are in this phase of this graph, you're generally not making very good decisions, whether it's about money, whether it's about relationships, whether it's about anything to do in your life. To help you get through and to prevent you from making emotional decisions during these trying times, I've left you with 5 things you should be doing now. The first thing is to stay calm. Don't stress, don't panic. Panic and stress will compromise your immune system. You do not want a compromised immune system with the threat of this virus hanging around. Panic and stress steals your joy. You are in lockdown with your family, with your spouse, with your children. You cannot appreciate or build on relationships if you are so consumed with panic and stress. So at all costs, try and remain calm. Secondly, avoid unnecessary spending. Fortunately, lockdown has put us all in the position that it's not that easy to spend, but yet there are still platforms like eBay and Wish and Amazon and Takealot, where we see all these wonderful items that we suddenly need to want. Avoid unnecessary spending, avoid stockpiling. Thirdly, draw up a realistic budget. You don't have an excuse. You do have the time now. If you do not know how to start a budget, start by obtaining your last 3 months bank statements as well as credit card statements. Look at how you've been spending your money. Draw up a spreadsheet. Cut out unnecessary items that you are spending money on. Cancel subscriptions that you don't need. It is important that you have a real feel and understanding of what it costs you on a monthly basis to survive and to live. The next step is build up your reserves. Do not spend every cent that you have. Everything that is left over, put it into your money market account. Build up those reserves. Do not spend it. We don't know how long we're going to be in lockdown for. It might be much longer than 21 days. We do not know if our companies are still going to be able to keep us employed, whether they can keep us employed at the same salaries that we are earning. You don't know if there's a family member that you're going to have to help in the next couple of months due to all the complications and implications of lockdown and this virus. And lastly, if you are invested in markets, remain invested. It is not the time to cash in right now. Remain invested and you will be rewarded for your patience when markets do correct. Make sure you have the correct financial strategy for your financial circumstances. I hope that the content of this video has given you some insights to what's happening globally, as well as provide you with some useful tips on what you can be doing to get through these trying times. My contact details are listed below if you would like to contact me for more information or just obtain some peace of mind. Until we meet again, I'd like you to stay safe, stay connected, and just enjoy the time you have with your families during this lockdown period.